Welcome to GameScope, your deep dive into the gaming world.
Great to be here.
Today, we are definitely lacing up our virtual skate shoes. We're doing a review roundup for the very much anticipated Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4.
Yeah, big one. And you probably remember the buzz around the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 remake back in 2020.
Oh, absolutely. That thing landed huge. What was it, like an 89 average on Metacritic?
Yep, and an incredible 97% recommend from critics on Open Critics. So, the bar for this follow-up was set incredibly high, like sky-high expectations.
Doing a 1080 off a skyscraper? Kind of high.
Exactly. And if you just glance at the critic scores this time, it looks like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 pretty much stuck the landing again.
What are we seeing there?
Open Critic has an average of 85, 100% recommended across 13 reviews so far. Metacritic mirrors that, calls it generally favorable. It's got an 82 for PS5, 85 for Xbox Series X, and an 81 for PC.
Okay, so on paper, sounds like another perfect combo, right?
Pretty much.
But here's where things get a little sketchy, maybe like hitting a patch of unexpected gravel. The user scores?
Yes, the user scores.
On Metacritic, they tell a really different story. It's sitting at mixed or average, a 6.9 for the PS5 version.
Oof, yeah. That's quite a gap between critics and players.
It really is, and that signals some, pretty deep divisions in the community. So that's kind of our mission for this deep dive. Figure out that disconnect. When you remake a beloved classic, can you really satisfy everyone, the purists and the people wanting something new?
It's the eternal remake dilemma, isn't it?
Totally. Okay, let's kick things off with what this game absolutely nails, because
Yeah.
it does nail a lot. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4 definitely brings back that classic high-flying energy we love.
Oh, for sure. The core gameplay is where the praise is almost universal. Critics are calling it smooth skateboard gameplay, mentioning the tight controls, the satisfying trick system. It feels just as good as it did 20-plus years ago, which is saying something.
Yeah, I saw one review that just flat out said Tony Hawk has never looked or played better. That fluid movement, stringing together those technical combos, it's still there. That's the heart.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how well Iron Galaxy, the developers this time around, managed to recreate that core feel, especially since Vicarious Visions did such a stellar job on 1+2.
Right, big shoes to fill.
Huge. But it seems like that fundamental gameplay foundation is just incredibly strong. And that's why you see those consistently high critic scores across PS5, Xbox, PC. They captured that flow.
And it looks great too, doesn't it? The visual glow-up is undeniable. Critics mention the striking visual upgrades, the beautifully redone levels.
Yeah, familiar places feel slick and modern. Some called it jaw-dropping in 4K.
But beyond the tech, it's a nostalgic fever dream for so many people. A real gnarly skating time capsule, particularly for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
Oh, THPS3. Definitely a fan favorite.
Huge favorite. I mean, wasn't that the one that introduced the revert?
Yep, the revert.
And
That was the game changer. Suddenly, you could link vert tricks into manuals and extend combos like never before.
totally changed the high score chase. And those levels, Foundry is still just a perfect introduction. And Suburbia.
Yeah.
It feels like the quintessential THPS level, right? And they've treated it really well, even decked out for Halloween in the remake. It's a joy if you grew up with these.
Absolutely. Pure nostalgia fuel.
But okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. They didn't just remake stuff, they actually added some pretty cool new things.
Right, the new content.
We got 3 brand new levels. Movie studio, water park, and pinball. And that water park level, people are calling it a masterpiece.
I've heard that too. The design sounds really imaginative, like an abandoned theme park vibe.
Yeah. Water slides become these massive grind lines, apparently, and the whole layout is designed to kind of funnel you back towards the center. Really smart flow. Pinball sounds pretty wild, too. Very eye-catching.
And looking at the bigger picture, these additions, especially the new levels and the enhancements to create a park, it shows they weren't just resting on nostalgia.
No, definitely not.
They seem to be trying to actively build on the series' legacy, adding more substance, more replayability, which is great.
And speaking of create modes, Create a Skater and Create a Park are back with new options. And the big one, you can create custom goals now and share them. That's a series first, right?
It is, yeah. Huge for community longevity.
And the multiplayer got some love, too. There's this new mode called HAWK Talk. And it sounds like a superb new idea. Basically hide and seek, but you're hunting for the letters HAWK scattered around the level.
Sounds fun, actually. Adds a different kind of tension.
Totally. And you still have the classics, Trick Attack, Combo Mambo, Graffiti, plus the roster's bigger old pros, new faces. Even Bam Margera is unlockable, apparently.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they've added some really useful accessibility options, too. Things like perfect balance settings for grinds, manuals, lips, a no-bail mode if you just want to cruise, adjustable game speed, remappable controls. Seems like they tried to make it welcoming for everyone.
Which is always good to see. More options are generally better.
Okay, but like any skate run, you can hit a rough patch, maybe bail unexpectedly. And this deep dive wouldn't be complete if we didn't get into the stuff where opinions really start to split, sometimes quite sharply.
Right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or maybe the missing elephant in the zoo level. The Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 overhaul.
Exactly. So just to set the stage, the original THPS4 was different. It was the first one to ditch the timer, give you these big, freely roamable levels where you found characters who gave you missions.
It was a big step for the series, kind of paved the way for Underground. No timer, just exploration and objectives.
And the remake, well, it changed that,
Yeah.
fundamentally. They've retrofitted the THPS4 levels back into the classic 2-minute timer format.
Yeah, they pulled out the mission-giving NPCs, removed a lot of those original unique missions. The whole structure is different.
Now, players can use a mod, apparently, to extend the timer up to like 60 minutes, but that core exploration and NPC interaction, gone.
And this is where you see that user score drop start to make sense.
Oh, yeah. The reaction from longtime fans and even some critics has been strong. People feel THPS4 was gutted, completely butchered, underserved.
Strong word.
Very. People are pointing out missing levels entirely, like Carnival and Chicago, and levels that are there, like Zoo and Kona. They feel neutered, turned into basic competition maps, no animals in the zoo, none of that original life.
Ouch. That zoo level without animals sounds odd.
Right. One reviewer even said the THPS4 part feels less like a labor of love and more like a product capitalizing on the first remake.
And, this really does raise that big question. What is a remake? Where's the line between faithful recreation and, well, changing the core identity of a game?
It feels like they crossed a line for a lot of people here, taking the one game defined by not having a timer and forcing it back into that timed structure. It just feels wrong to many. It's less a remake, maybe more a reimagining that misses the whole point of what made THPS4 special.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a fundamental shift, not just a tweak. You can see why fans of that specific game would be upset.
And then there's the other big point of contention.
The soundtrack.
The soundtrack squabble. Look, the original THPS soundtracks are legendary, absolutely legendary. They were huge for music discovery for a whole generation. I mean, how many bands did you find through those games?
Oh, countless. Seriously, it was integral to the vibe.
Totally integral. But this time, the number of original tracks is way down, like way down. We're talking only 10 out of the 55 original songs from THPS 3 and 4 combined made it into the remake.
Wow, only 10 out of 55. That's less than 20%.
Yeah. Compare that to THPS 1+2, which kept something like 22 out of 25 original tracks. It's a massive difference.
And you definitely hear both sides of the argument on this one. Some critics defend it, saying, look, the new soundtrack rips, it fits the skating culture, introduces new artists, that's keeping the spirit alive.
And they often point to licensing costs, right? Like maybe getting those old tracks was just too expensive or complicated.
Exactly. That's the practical argument. But the fan reaction tells another story. Lots of genuine bafflement, real disappointment.
I saw someone call the lack of AC/DC's TNT from THPS4 criminal. And the argument is that the music wasn't just background noise. It was baked into the game, part of the nostalgia, part of the identity, part of how you discovered music.
Yeah, it's a powerful connection for people.
So the question becomes, is just saying, oh, just use Spotify instead, really a good enough answer here? For a series where the soundtrack was so iconic and so important to the experience, feels like a core piece is missing for a lot of players.
It really does highlight how much that audio-visual package matters, doesn't it? It's not just the gameplay, it's the whole sensory experience, especially with nostalgia involved.
Absolutely. Okay, so those are the two biggies, the THPS4 changes and the soundtrack. But there are a few other, maybe smaller grind marks people have pointed out.
What else is bubbling up?
Well, some found the career progression a bit weird, kinda anomalous. The solo tour, which combines THPS 3 and 4 goals, is apparently locked until you beat the main career modes, unlike in the 1+2 remake where everything was available sooner.
Okay, a structural thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a huge bummer for a lot of folks. No online horse mode. That was a big couch co-op favorite. And not having it online is a miss for some.
Ah, yeah, Horse is classic, and see why people miss that online.
Then there's stuff like some immersion-breaking product placement, apparently lots of brand logos,
Hmm.
limited crate CJ face options, a few reports here and there of maybe some input lag or the controls feeling a bit floaty compared to 1+2.
Okay, so some polish issues and feature omissions.
Exactly. And just this general undercurrent from some players that overall it doesn't feel like a meaningful upgrade from the last game, meaning THPS 1+2.
Which brings us to the, let's call it the Activision angle, maybe.
Yeah.
You see this chatter, especially on places like Reddit, this perception that maybe Activision sees this franchise now as more of a, well, a quick cash project.
Yeah, that sentiment is definitely out there. People point to Vicarious Visions, the team that did a 1+2 so well, getting absorbed into Blizzard, their Blizzard Albany now, and then Iron Galaxy, a talented studio, but maybe seen as more of a work-for-hire team, taking over 3+4.
And that narrative emerges. Maybe corners were cut, maybe the budget wasn't the same.
Hmm.
It definitely feeds into that tension between what fans expect, the realities of game development, and, corporate strategy.
It really does. How much do those behind-the-scenes factors, the studio changes, the potential budget constraints actually impact the final game you play? And does the core gameplay, which is still widely praised, outweigh those perceived shortcomings like the THPS4 changes or the soundtrack cuts?
That's the million-dollar question for potential buyers, isn't it?
Totally. So for you listening, you got to ask yourself, are these changes, these omissions, deal breakers, or are they just minor quibbles you can overlook because the core skating is still fun? Is it a must-buy now, or maybe one to grab on sale later?
Depends what you value most in a Tony Hawk game, I suppose.
So looking ahead, where does the series go from here? The community seems pretty vocal about what they want next.
Oh, yeah. What's the main buzz?
Overwhelmingly, it seems like people are clamoring for Tony Hawk's Underground 1+2 remakes.
Ah, the Tuckies games. Makes sense. Story mode, getting
Yeah.
off the board. That feels like the next logical step for many.
It really does. They're brought up constantly, so that leads to the bigger question for the future.
More remakes or something completely new.
Exactly. Should they keep mining the past, or is it time for a truly new Tony Hawk title? And what lessons should they take from this game, THPS 3+4, both the successes and the controversies?
And maybe. Here's a final thought to chew on. Given how divisive the changes to THPS 4 were, is that classic Pro Skater formula truly timeless? Can you just slap it onto any old level set? Or were some entries like THPS 4 with its unique structure, kind of lightning in a bottle? Maybe they can't be faithfully remade in the old style without losing what made them special and, well, upsetting the purists.
Ooh, that's a good one. Is the formula truly universal, or does each game need to be treated as its own unique beast? Something to think about.
Definitely.
All right, that's all the time we have for this deep dive on GameScope. Thanks for tuning in.
Catch you next time.